where are you going to find inventory? In this video, I'm going to tell you 10 places that you can source for inventory. The last one I'm going to share with you is my favorite. The last one I think is by far the most profitable, most exciting. I'm going to cover the items from the ones that I think are probably the easiest to get started to the ones they require a bit more experience but maybe yield better results. The first one is going to sound so simple. I want you to start with items that are in your own home. All of us have bought things that we either didn't use or we got them for a gift from somebody that just didn't do anything for us, and now they're sitting either in a closet or in a cabinet somewhere. I would start with those things that you already have. When you start an eBay business, you're gonna make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes are what you're gonna learn from. Think about it like this. If you went to college, you're going to spend a lot of time in class studying the materials that they give you to learn. You're going to spend that time absorbing all of that information before you step out into a job. eBay is on-the-job training, and you're going to get better at this as you go. I guarantee it, you're going to get better at it. The next place is going to be dependent upon where you live and how much access you have to it, but that is donation outlets. Whether that's the place you'll hear called the Goodwill bins, which is the outlet store for Goodwills, or if there's a Salvation Army outlet near you, typically those places sell by the pound, and your education that we were talking about earlier is very, very inexpensive. You can go in there and get a lot of inventory and make your mistakes without spending a ton of money. And you can get a lot of inventory to learn through. And I think that's just really important because the goal here is that a year from now, you will not be picking up the same things. A year from now, you're going to be picking up better and better stuff that requires either less work or has a whole lot more money attached to it. So when you start at the outlet centers, you're going to find that, $1.50, $2 a pound, and you can buy a lot of inventory very, very cheap. Let's move right on to number 3. Sticking with the same theme, especially when you're first getting started, low cost for entry. So we started with things around the home, which couldn't be a whole lot cheaper if you already have them. 2, the outlet places like Goodwill outlet, the bins. And then 3, garage sales. Garage sales are one of the very best places to get out there. And another benefit of garage sales, wide variety. There's a ton of different kinds of things at garage sale. My favorite kinds of garage sales are community sales, especially if they're community sales that don't have it every single year. Even those, I go to them because it will be different families having them. Garage sales are cheap. They're negotiable. You can find a lot of amazing things at garage sales. So I straight up love garage sales. While I think it's an easy place to enter into the reselling game, it isn't one you have to exit no matter how long you've been at it because they're still fun and still very, very profitable. Let's move on to number 4. The fourth one is a little bit more difficult, and that is estate sales. Where they differ are garage sales, somebody can decide on the weekend, hey, we're going to throw all this stuff out here and get it for sale. At an estate sale, sometimes they will have those because somebody's moving into a nursing home, or maybe a family is moving across country and they're not taking anything with them, or somebody has passed away and an estate sale company has come in and they're basically selling the entire contents of the house. There are some more challenges than there are with garage sales. The estate sale professionals know their stuff. They study more. They have a lot more experience. Prices are going to be a little higher, in some cases a lot higher. The saving grace is even estate sale professionals can't know everything. Recently, I went to an estate sale with a company that is known for pricing everything very high, and then in an upstairs closet in the back, I find 2 vintage Champion reverse weave sweatshirts, which one sold for $275, one sold for $400. They had them for $5 because they didn't know. With estate sales, you're going to have to know your stuff. The first thing I would learn with estate sales, learn the companies. You're going to find out some of the companies don't value clothing at all. Some of them don't value shoes at all. Some of them won't mess with electronics. If you know what you like to sell, if you're learning what you like to sell, you'll know which estate sale companies you're going to do the best at. Estate sales are less weather dependent. Those are typically available year round. So let's move on to number 5. And this is one that I think that you can find in most places, and that is thrift store. There's 2 different types. There's one that thrift stores that operate on donations like Goodwill or Salvation Army. And then there are consignment ones where people take things in and they either sell them outright like Plato's Closet, or consignment where they bring it in and they don't get any money until it sells. All of those I'm going to call thrift stores. And thrift stores are good in that there's a lot of better inventory. Typically, it's been sorted through and removed the trash, so you're looking at things where you're not having to remove the trash. The trade-off for that is the prices are higher than, say, an outlet or a garage sale. And in this day and age, the biggest downside to thrift stores, and comment below if you disagree with this, but a lot of the thrift stores are now your direct competition online. They're listing items on eBay, Poshmark, and Etsy. So you're going to have to know your stuff when you're in there to find those items that they've missed. But you can do that. This is what most of us that do this do. We learn our stuff well enough that when we go into there, we can find the item that is still undervalued and has money left available for us to make on the back end. Let's talk about number 6, online arbitrage. What we're talking about here are things like Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, and there's some money available there. One of my best buys in the last couple of years was a Facebook Marketplace, and the guy had a bunch of shirts. I called him and went out there to see him. When I got there, he didn't have much left, but I did ask him, what else do you have? And he had a whole entire display of vintage flags. And so made a buy on them, and it was a great buy. But with Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, one of those, you can save your search. If you know there's something that you like, let's say you just sell skateboard parts, you can have it let you know if somebody lifts something in that area, because you're going to have to move quick on the online arbitrage. But online arbitrage, you can get some great deals, especially if you're on top of things. And always, if you find somebody that's moving bulk of anything, ask if they have anything else. Retail arbitrage is a little bit different for us personally. It's a little bit more hit and miss, but when you hit, you can do really well. So what retail arbitrage is, those are regular stores where you go in and you find items that you can sell online cheaper than what they have. So a lot of times, these are things that are on sale or things that they're clearancing out. So, for example, we were in a Dillard's one time and all of their big man boxers were being discontinued. They were normally $30 a package, and they had them for $1 a package. And I bought them all. And for 3 years, I sold big man underwear. That's a good example of retail arbitrage. You got to know your stuff. You've got to be there enough to know when something hits like that. What I didn't do back then was I didn't go to any other Dillard's. And, because from where I'm at, it would have been quite the drive. But if you're in any type of Metroplex, when you find something that's a good deal, you might go and find the other ones and see if there's big man underwear everywhere that you can go get. The next one has had a lot of media coverage. It's had a lot of people that watch it. It's a ton of fun, but more than fun, it's a ton of work. So let's talk about number 8, storage lockers. Storage lockers are, without a doubt, a ton of fun, and they are a ton of work. In return for that ton of work, you do get a wide variety of stuff. The reason I've got it listed at 8 and not earlier is because, one, prices have really gone up on storage lockers because everybody thinks that they're going to find diamonds and jewels and cash in these things. And you don't. It's not impossible, but you don't. You find a lot of work, and you can find a mountain of inventory. There is a lot of inventory available when you buy a storage locker. A couple of things to remember if you decide to go that route. Buy a locker that's not too big for you to handle. You need to process it quickly, get the stuff sold, and pull out those items that you're going to list online. So most people that are doing storage lockers, they also either sell at flea markets or they sell at garage sales or those kind of things in addition to selling online. So storage lockers are a ton of fun, ton of work, ton of variety, and per item can be a low cost, but you really have to watch it and don't get caught up in the hype of an auction and bid more than you know that you can make. Typically, with storage lockers, you'll do better if you don't bid more than the value that you can absolutely see. Don't gamble on what's in that box back there, because that box might be empty. Okay, number 9. Make sure I got 9 fingers up. Number 9 is one of my favorites. It's one that I don't share a lot of information about because it's extremely competitive, but it's also the one where I've made the easiest long-term money, and that is bankruptcy auctions. And I'm not talking about bulk.com or liquidations.com, I think they call it. I'm not talking about that. It'll vary from city to city that you're in, but the larger cities is where you'll find these. We've been through a period of time here where, unfortunately, lots of people have lost their businesses. A lot of people have gone through the bankruptcy process. And what happens is when a business closes, typically the court will step in and eventually they will say, these things need to be sold to pay off the debt that they owe. So while it's sad that that's happening, you do have other small mom and pop businesses that get back some of their money. And those things go to auction. You need to find the auction companies in your state, in your cities that run these kind of auctions. One of them in Texas is Lone Star Auctioneers. That's what it's called, Lone Star Auctioneers, and you can find businesses that have gone out of business. For example, we bought some hunting clothing from a manufacturer in Dallas that went out of business. I bought 600 pieces of base layers for $3 a piece, and I have now been selling them for 3 years for $30 to $50 a piece. Ton of markup, easy to list. I had all of the pieces listed within a week because it was multiples. Business liquidations, especially local ones in the larger cities around you, you need to do some research. I couldn't possibly begin to tell you which ones in your area are doing that. That information will be online. Find those, and then it's a waiting game, waiting for the right type of business to be available for stuff that you would want to flip and be able to sell. And then you've got to, my number one recommendation, go check this stuff out. Make sure that you're not buying all boxes of their returns unless you know that and you're getting a good enough price. Miscellaneous is harder because you're not getting as many multiples. Just make sure you know what you're getting. Go check it out and then bid online, and that's some great stuff that doesn't get talked about a lot. I don't share all the companies that I use, but that's one of my favorites. The last sourcing idea, without any doubt whatsoever, is where I have made the most money in the last 3 years. There's a lot of differing opinions on whether or not you should do this. I hear people say, don't do this. I'm going to tell you to do it because I think it's critically important. Comment below if you disagree, and that is tell people what you do. What we're doing is buying things at discounted prices or wholesale prices, and we're flipping them. We're doing the exact same thing that major companies do, except that we're doing it and it's a mom and pop making the money. It's a small business. It's a medium-sized business that's making the money instead of some large corporate company doing it. I am not ashamed that I'm a reseller. I love what I do. I keep tons of stuff out of the landfills. I find things that other people have passed up. I find things that other people are throwing away. I get people that call me and say, hey, I've got this, or I don't want to have a garage sale. I don't want to have an estate sale. Can you come look at this stuff? And the downside to that type, you're going to run down a lot of trails that don't go anywhere. You're going to run down a lot of things where it isn't what they thought it was. And that can be disappointing for you. It can be disappointing for them. But you're occasionally going to go into a place where you're like, okay, what you were hoping to get out of this, I can pay you a lot more than that because you have these things here. When you treat people well, you're going to get more and more opportunities as time goes by. So the 10th sourcing opportunity, in my opinion, beats all of the others combined, is word of mouth, and let people know what you do and that it's okay to tell other people what we do. And I can actually help a lot of people that would have had an estate sale, and they may have an item in there that wasn't going to ever bring enough at an estate sale that I'm happy to pay that for. Hopefully, as you follow through with these, out of those 10 things, you pick the ones that work for you. That's the most important thing. And now that you have some exciting stuff that you want to list, if you click right here, we'll go through and how to make a perfect listing. Thanks.